Natasha and Kathleen for inviting me to this panel. I feel like I'm privileged to be around people such as this. So what I'll do is I'll quickly kind of trace kind of my story very quickly, and then but do it with an emphasis on what I think I've learned about service, and then finish with kind of some explanation of what it is I do, which may be of interest. So I think the first kind of interesting point that insight I had while at Princeton is that I think Princeton is actually a really interesting training ground for service, particularly for students, of course, but I think all members of the Princeton community. If you look at Princeton as an imperfect place, as a place that needs all of our vision and work to make it a more perfect place, more inclusive, more more welcoming. I think for me, the lessons I learned as a student, trying to kind of make Princeton a better place, really have proven most valuable in the post-Princeton world. And this isn't something that just sort of came to me. It was something that I heard a faculty member actually talk about. To view your Princeton experience as a microcosm of the world outside. And I think that's the first thing I did when I came here. It didn't take convincing for me to kind of think about service. I was sold on day one, so I may not be the best person to kind of speak to on how were you converted. But I think point one is kind of about Princeton as a training ground, and that I think is something that I really enjoyed throughout my 4 years here. Towards the end of the 4 years, there's a perception that service is either about being a U.S. senator or being a teacher, and nothing in between. People at Princeton kind of go listen to our members of Congress talk and come and listen to have these visions of working in foreign countries and feeding people and stuff. But and I was one of those students. I thought that that's how you do service. And then came Project 55, of course, and kind of opened my eyes to service more broadly construed. And and how did I end up at College Summit is kind of point two, which is about, I actually think service is, it's a selfless act, but I think it's actually a rather selfish exercise, because I think you gain so much from it personally. At least I have. I mean, your soul, emotionally, and it's an amazing experience. And for me, what I've really enjoyed about service is the ability to connect your past with your present. And so, and every service moment I've been involved in, I've thought about how can I connect this opportunity with my past? Because ultimately, when you connect past and present, that's where you see most satisfaction. Examples are while I was at College Summit, a little NGO no one's heard of in Washington. I tried to connect Princeton with College Summit, and came to Princeton and talked to Shirley about it, and tried to think about how we can bring the two together. At Google India now, I'm at Google, and Google could have very easily kind of been a meaningless, kind of sterile corporate experience for me. But I went to India because I thought it would be an interesting way to connect past heritage with my present opportunity. So it's actually been a rather selfish exercise, this experience of giving back. And it's obviously kind of changed my life in a lot of ways. Project 55 led me to my wife, ultimately, I should say. So those of you 55ers here, you should know that.
New program. Connected
but a few other points before I kind of wrap up. One is about services everywhere, and I come to kind of the Google example, which is my first year with the company in California. Google likes to kind of talk about itself as kind of a company changing the world and all this sort of stuff, which is fine. But sitting in California, you can feel like a private company that's just sort of a publicly traded company staring at the stock price. So what I did was I chased it, and I thought that India, working in India for this company, was really my only opportunity to do service. And so what the lesson from there, and I'm happy to answer questions later, is that it exists everywhere. It's not just in the nonprofit world. And for me, Google India is on par with College Summit, which is now premier NGO. Vis-a-vis service opportunities, and I'm sure those of us who are working in a variety of sectors can find service opportunities, many avenues. You just have to aggressively chase it. So that's the other lesson I learned. Fourth, I mean, another point is maybe kind of obvious coming from me, but I think the internet really offers astounding opportunities for those of us who are interested in not only participating in existing service ventures, but starting our own. Really offers astounding opportunities to execute low-cost, high-impact projects, really. And I think it's just another kind of lesson I've learned. So coming to two examples of the kind of things I've gotten to do, at least in India. One, kind of in my professional life, at Google I lead government affairs, public-private partnerships, basically how Google interacts with public institutions in the country, government, law enforcement, NGO, political parties, industry groups, whoever. And India just recently concluded its 15th general election. It's a country with 714 million eligible voters. Many of them do vote, and they all speak 29 different languages, more than 300 political parties. I mean, it's an unbelievable exercise, the biggest democratic exercise in human history. So we at Google thought about how do we contribute? You know, there's an election going on, and what do we do? And so what I led during the last 6 months was an effort to make Indian democracy more transparent using Google technology. So very quickly, Indian members of parliament, there's public data available about the extent to which members of parliament in India are educated, how many times they've gone to jail, what their assets are. And in India, this, by the way, matters, because 25% of parliament have criminal records. Corruption is rampant. So what we did is we brought together a group of NGOs, and for the first time in Indian history, really in compelling ways, using print, television, and the internet, made publicly available data about members of parliament and the way they've conducted themselves, about development in constituencies, you know, malnutrition in ex-constituency members. You can go to google.com/Lok Sabha 2009. I'll talk about it later. But that's one thing I've done professionally. India Voices, very quickly, indiavoices.org, is right now basically a personal project, but I'm trying to turn it into a kind of an NGO worth a mention in a bio. But basically, India is the kind of place where when you sit there, you kind of wonder you're always asking yourself, what am I doing? What am I doing to contribute to this place? And a lot of people end up being dissatisfied. But I thought about my own core competence. What am I good at? And what I realized what I'm good at is just talking to people and communications or something like that. So what I did was I've created what I call a brand. I've realized that to be successful in the nonprofit service world, you need to build strong brands. You know, it's not just about a substantive, high-impact project. If you don't couple that with a powerful brand, it'll be difficult to kind of, in this noisy culture, make progress. So I'm basically doing high-quality citizen journalism for India's seemingly resourceless people, under the auspices of what I think is a powerful brand, and what the hope is later that brand will have political power, will be a place where existing journalists come to do 1 or 2 year fellowships, Project 55 style. But it's just starting. Happy to talk more about it later, but really it's about citizen journalism, high-quality citizen journalism under a powerful brand, with the hope of later having political power in India. But again, I just want to thank Project 55 for the opportunity, and you've obviously changed tangibly the course of my life and my family's life, so it's a privilege to be here.